Hello and welcome to another Transcontinental Overload Destination Special. We are traveling to South America again today, to Peru to be precise. I love these trips as I've never been to South America, and I love this trip in particular because our tour guide is my very good friend's daughter Amy from the UK. Amy recently graduated from university with a degree in French and Spanish, and during her year abroad study program, she was lucky enough to spend a few months in Peru, where she lived with a Peruvian family and taught English at local schools. We're in for a treat today, as I guess this is a part of the world not many people get to see. Amy is taking us to the mountain town of Huaraz today, which sits high up in the Andes at an altitude of just over 3,000 meters. That is over 10,000 feet above sea level. Huaraz is the capital of the Ancash mountain region and is also known as the hiking or trekking capital of Peru. And we'll get to hear about some truly magical places in that area. So, without further ado, let's travel to Peru. I had to do this. It rhymes. It's perfect. Come on. Welcome, Amy, to Transcontinental Overload Destination Special. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Oh, thank you so much. No, it's a real pleasure to be here as well. I think it's such an amazing podcast and the opportunity to get to talk about experiences over the world.
And I'm really looking forward to this one because we're going to South America again. So my very first episode was about Paraguay. And for me, it's really nice because I've never been to South America. So it's like those are countries that I just don't really know that much about. So so Amy, where are you taking us today and how come, because you're not currently there, maybe you can give us a little bit of a background story of how you got to get to that place and how long you were there for and all that.
Absolutely, yes. So I just graduated from being a languages student of Spanish and French from my university. And during that degree, I had often a particular focus on Latin American culture and literature and film, kind of everything to do with the continent, really. And so for my third year of my 4-year degree, I had the chance to do a year abroad, which is essentially where you can either study, work or teach abroad for a year in a destination of your choice or multiple destinations of your choice. My immediate preference or choice was to go for somewhere in South America. And I can't tell you exactly why I chose Peru in the end, other than maybe the llamas. But I think it had a lot of things going for it, and it seemed like a really, really calm and lovely and beautiful place that was super varied in terms of its geography, with beaches and mountains and everything here and in between. Also the Amazon forest, of course, the rainforest. So I ended up there because I was on this year abroad in my degree, and I spent 2 months in a mountain city really called Huaraz. But actually, I wasn't even in that city. I was in an even more remote place, about 500 more meters above sea level, in a kind of gated community or a condominio, which is called El Pinar, and it was a really tiny kind of settlement in a way of people. That if you imagine an extended cul-de-sac in the UK or something like that, even in America, like a kind of really well-preserved community like that. And so it had a really beautiful, big, I believe, a private school called Colegio El Pinar, so El Pinar College. And I was teaching there. I was teaching primary and nursery students.
So were you teaching English?
Yes, teaching English.
Oh, that's so much fun.
Yeah, no, it was great. And actually, I initially thought I would be just with primary school students, but then they got a bit overexcited because I was the only one in lower school. So they made me a funky bi-weekly timetable where 1 week I'd be in nursery and 1 week I'd be in primary. So it was quite intense, but it was very nice. And I was I was there between March and May 2022.
So that would be autumn in that area, right?
Yeah, essentially, yeah, more or less, yeah.
I'm just trying to get my head around the other hemisphere and all that.
Yeah, that is one thing.
that sounds like such a fun experience. And I can totally get your draw to go to South America, for example, instead of maybe Spain, because it's like from Europe, you feel like it's much more accessible to go to Spain and it's easy, but you don't often get the chance to go further afield. And so I totally get that. So when I do these recordings, sometimes we talk about towns and favorite spots and all that. But I think with this one, we have to probably do it a little bit different, because it's like it's a whole region. It's not so much
That's true.
a place where you can go shopping and watching the sunset, I guess, although you probably do watch the sunset there as well. But yeah, let's just still pretend that I'm coming to visit, or I'm coming with you there for like a long weekend, a few days, and just kind of describe the things that we would do if I was just like a friend who would come and see you there. What would you want to show me? And all the special things you could do there.
Totally. I mean, I think it's funny because it's quite a limbo place, as it were, because a lot of tourists come through to see a lot of it's like natural wonders like mountains and glaciers and things, and then just immediately pass straight through. But there are still a lot of people around, and it's really bustling for what it is. So
first of all, sorry, how do we get there? How do I even get there? If I wanted to say I'm going to fly into probably Lima, I guess.
Yeah.
And then what?
That's exactly right. So you fly into Lima, and if you're not me, then you don't lose a suitcase for a month. But I did lose my suitcase for a month. But yeah, and then you get a bus for about 8 hours up into the mountains to Huaraz. And it was actually, we were very lucky to make it there, because almost straight after, like the day after we got there, the rain was so intense that it created some landslides, and so the bus route was totally cut off, so no one could get up to the city. So we were like simultaneously stranded and very lucky to be in the city. But so that's how you get there, on a kind of night bus or a day bus, but night buses are cheaper, which is why we opted for that. And that's also how you get around the city, not in the same kind of coach style bus, but in these kind of tiny mini buses that, if you imagine kind of like a camper van size, a little bit bigger, that have like maximum 15 people, one driver and one person who kind of opens the door when people get on and closes it when they get off, and also takes people's like bus fares. So it's really quite it's funny, and they hold onto these rails when you're on the bus, and you're with all sorts of people and animals and objects, and it's quite it's really lovely. And if you don't take the bus, then you can, if you know people, obviously you can get lifts from your family or from friends, or you can get taxis. But bus is the main way of getting around, I'd say, especially to the little place I was staying in called El Pinar. There was a bus that went to and fro. So,
and is it like, does everyone take the bus? So is it kind of because buses are in different parts of the world have kind of different how should we put this, socioeconomic groups using them? Because I know that for us Europeans, it's totally normal to take a bus when we're in a city or anywhere really. It's not looked down upon, and in other parts of the world, it's a different way of looking at it.
That's really interesting. I hadn't really thought about that. I think I don't think in Peruvian culture it would have been that looked down upon, because like I was saying, like it's quite a wealthy gated community that I was staying in, and a lot of them would often get the bus down to the city. So I don't think there were many connotations of like different kind of social hierarchies and things, which there were a lot of connotations and different things, but the bus I didn't notice a lot. I think it was quite a mixture of people. So yeah.
Okay, so basically, we make it there. I mean, I'm not sure I would be so keen on taking a night bus up a landsliding, hill, but I guess let's pretend we've done it and we got there in one piece. So then what do we do?
So, I mean, honestly, at this stage, you will probably be quite jet lagged if, like me, you did the bus journey almost straight after, directly after arriving in Lima. I believe I did stay one night in Lima, but even so, I was very kind of confused, and then just got on this bus and arrived.
But the altitude too, because I guess, I mean, I've been to Colorado, so that's quite high, but not as high as the Andes, and I'm just thinking jet lag and altitude. will probably mess with your head a little bit.
A lot, yeah. So one thing with the altitude actually, because it's around 2,600 meters above sea level there, and a very like commonplace remedy, if that's the right word, or kind of medication that people will give you for the altitude there will be just chewing coca leaves. So like
Hmm.
either in the form of sweets like boiled candy or in other kind of forms. But yeah, a very like commonplace thing is that, and it is, I'm sure it is quite effective, but it seems quite alien and strange to us, maybe coming from the Western world. But yeah, and I think my mum particularly was quite concerned about the altitude, so we made sure that I had some pills and stuff as well, like that were
Mm.
from
So
home pharmacy
so
in the
you
UK.
you didn't, did you try coca leaves, or
I
did you
did have
just?
like one boiled candy
Mm-hmm.
once, but that was on a trip like to
Mm-hmm.
even a higher altitude, and I was just kind of like, oh, I might as well I might as well try it once, and I think it did work quite well. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, and also coca tea, just so they put it in tea.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's with the altitude. Yeah, but I did notice like when I first arrived that the kind of village is quite flat, but there is one slight hill kind of going out of it, and my friends and I were like, we're all reasonably fit, especially the other two, and we were just walking up this hill and just absolutely out of breath. It's really quite wild. And the first thing that I was in a host family. I was staying with the host family in this village, and my kind of host brothers were 11 and 7. And the first thing they wanted to do when I got there was go to the park, obviously. And so I didn't want to be like rude and turn them down, but yeah, no, so I kind of said, maybe a little bit later. And then the older sister came in and said, no, no, don't, please don't take her to the park. But
Yeah,
yeah, so it does
you
mess
need
with your
to
head, but it's,
acclimatize.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Okay, so let's just say we acclimatized and
Mhm.
feeling okay to go out. Maybe not nothing too strenuous, but what would be the first thing that you'd want to show me?
I would say just in the centre, there are a lot of things to do. So I would take you down to somewhere like there's a cafe called Cafe Andino, which is a bit of a tourist trap. But it's really beautiful. It has kind of wood paneling inside and endless bookcases of books, and a really lovely menu featuring things like zumo de maracuya, which is like passion fruit
Oh, my
juice, which
favorite.
doesn't sound anything that special, but it's really, really amazing. I mean, everywhere in the city, this was like, it was
Hmm.
so addictive and wonderful, and that their one was particularly good. Actually, passion fruit features in like everything, and like cheesecakes and stuff like that, and it's just fantastic. And yeah, and where else? A very good people watching spot is the main square, which is called Plaza de las Armas, and you can just kind of sit down there, and you'll often see like women kind of like pulling along llamas behind them or alpacas, like with sunglasses on for photo opportunities, or just generally taking them around.
Excellent.
What else do you see? Just like yeah, people. And I think one time there were a group of students that were doing some kind of business proposal with I don't know like but yeah, you get a lot of people there, and it's quite fun to just sit down there and observe. And then what else? Yes, well, I mean, a particular spot that I loved was there was a really big wool shop called Los Gemelos, which means like the twins. I don't really know why it was called that, but and yeah, that was really lovely. But admittedly, it's my personal taste which is skewering me a bit
And
there.
mine. So I mean, that would be such a draw because I mean, I can't get enough of wools and things, and that's I think that's one of the things that you think of when you think of Peru and well, I guess Bolivia too, but the that whole culture, you think of just funky, colorful knits and all sorts of things, and I mean, yeah, so I would definitely go to that the wool shop.
Yeah, no, and lots of knits, lots of woven things. There was also a big kind of handmade market just off that main square I talked about just now, which yeah had like
Mhm.
a massive variety of objects, mainly for tourists, but I think also a lot of locals didn't go in there. Like I know we kind of had a teacher's birthday, and someone bought for their colleagues and things in there. So it's quite a diverse hub in there. But yeah, so that's kind of for shopping. There are a few places like that, and then also for yeah for sunset watching, like you were saying, there is a beautiful spot about halfway up the bus journey. So if you get off a bit before the gated community, which is all the way down, you can kind of sit on the edge of a precipice almost, but it's totally safe and everything. You just sit there and you can just see the whole city illuminated at night or just like kind of at dusk, and
Hmm.
it's just so beautiful. Because there's no one really around other than there is a fried chicken place just behind you, which is quite funny. But it was just a really lovely place, and we spent a lot of time there because my host family told me about it, and we just really loved it. So yeah,
So
that was
does that have a name, or is it kind of just like a secret spot that people just know or locals just know
a good
about? And
question. I really don't know. I I definitely know that the chicken place behind has a name, but I wouldn't be able to tell you the name. I don't think it's a specific viewpoint with like a plaque or anything, or
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's just a particularly beautiful spot where people hang out. And there's a little path there, but I think it's only because of the amount it's been trodden. It's not like a kind of
Mm.
stony path. It's just like in the so yeah, but that's really beautiful.
Yeah, nice. Well, those are a few things. So we've maybe covered Friday, so we've done a little bit of people watching and drinking coffee, and definitely found the wool shop. And then is there what's it like to? Is there anything to go out for dinner? What's the sort of
Mm.
situation there? Was it too quiet for that? Because it sounds like quite a lively little town.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I think Huaraz was really good for its international food. So it kind of had a gastronomy that was really varied and amazing. There was definitely a place that I went to on one of the first nights I was there with my host family called, I think, Mocca, which is an Italian place. And my host mother knew the owner, so we
Hmm.
went there, and that had the most amazing kind of uh, pizza, but also they had this drink which is common in the whole of Peru and Huaraz called chicha morada, and that's made. It's kind of I wouldn't say I could give an English translation for the drink in itself, but chicha is like made from dark purple kind of sweet corn-esque plant, and it looks exactly like red wine, but is non-alcoholic and quite sweet and just really, really lovely. They usually serve it warm as well, and it's just the most heavenly drink. But you can't really have it anywhere outside of Peru because it's illegal to export crops from the country and products and stuff like that, like animal products. So yeah, it's quite a unique phenomenon. You got to make the most of it while you're there. But other than that place, you can get food anywhere and everywhere really. There was definitely we went to kind of a quite expensive and lovely food place for a fellow teacher's birthday ceremony. That was really lovely. But honestly, yeah, most of the time I was eating dinner with my host family, which is something
Hmm.
to talk about in itself because the woman that kind of was a maid and a cook for the family was just the loveliest person and the most amazing culinary expert,
Hmm.
really. So she made a variety of dishes, and one thing that really surprised me about Peruvian cuisine is just the amount of carbs that they consume. Not in a horrible way, but just we're really not used to it.
Yeah.
So you'd often have potatoes, rice, and say like something else in the same dish, and it would just be totally normal. And yeah, I mean, I never really worked out whether I did like gain weight while I was there, but I think I was definitely yeah eating a lot of different carbs and different energy things. But it was really really lovely. And what's another dish that I can tell you about? They have a really lovely sauce that goes on meat and other dishes. It's called the Barranquina sauce. So that's made kind of out of flour and lemon and other ingredients that are remain a mystery to me, but that is so lovely. Quite a lot of meat consumption as well. One thing that people are quite shocked to learn always when they go to Peru is that they do eat guinea pigs, which are called cuy. But yeah, I only tried that once, and it wasn't really voluntary, because my family didn't it didn't make me try that, but they were going to like a family dinner with
Mhm.
their aunt or something like that, and they didn't realize that they were cooking guinea pig, and obviously they were bringing me, and I had no other option. So I did try it once, but yeah, it wasn't really my choice.
So how did you find out that it was guinea pig? Or was it just did it taste different and you were thinking,
Oh no, it's quite obvious that it's guinea pig because it's in the shape
oh,
of
oh, oh, oh
the
God.
animal. But but yeah, no, I kind of yeah, I think I think the family knew before I did because they saw the food coming out or something, or they knew, I don't know, they had they've been told like what was I don't know. So they warned me, and it was
Mm.
fine. It was quite a tricky situation because I didn't want to offend anyone, but also I was like, oh my
No,
goodness. But yeah.
I guess it's one of those things like when you go on those exchanges or just you explore a culture that's so different to your
Hmm.
own, you have to almost just go along with it, I think.
Yeah.
I always think this sort of place will be really difficult for someone with a lot of food restrictions and maybe allergies and things. I don't know. It's just
Hmm.
or just being vegetarian is probably
Yeah.
difficult enough.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that actually because there were two other English interns
Hmm.
staying there at the same time as me who stayed on for a few months more than me in the same mountain town, and one of them was celiac, so she was gluten free in all of her food, which was a
Oh,
yeah
wow.
nightmare and a half, and it actually like compelled her to start her own like food diary Instagram
Mm.
account for celiac lifestyle, like which is yeah, she loves doing now. So a good things come out of a bad thing, but
Yeah.
we had to fight so hard in every single place, really
Mm.
to explain to them like what she can eat, what it actually was, blah, 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 and she just kept
Hmm.
getting she kept having reactions to all of the food, and we couldn't understand why, because even when they understood, and even when like we had a Peruvian friend that would explain to them in detail exactly what it was,
Yeah.
and like and we worked out in the end that what it was they used like a soya oil in
Hmm.
cooking that has gluten in, and we didn't realize this, and they didn't even realize this. But then when we could ask them not to use that oil, things got better.
It
But
was
it was
fine.
really not
Ugh.
smooth sailing.
It's
Yeah.
such a curse, I think, when you have that. Because I mean, yeah, there's nothing, there's nothing you can do. It's just horrendous what happens. And because I imagine, yeah, it would be like flour would be in a lot of sauces probably, but yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so well, I would say now it's the weekend, and so you're not working, and then what kind of what would you how would we spend our Saturday? There be any special trip, or what do you suggest?
So you're definitely spoiled for choice in and around. It's called the Ancash region, which is like yeah, like you're saying, the Andes Mountains in Peru. And so I'd say, well, in the whole weekend, I could do a few trips. We could take ourselves to the glacier, which is called Pastoruli, and this is an amazing phenomenon, really. It's funny because I think my kind of my host the sister of my host family was quite like dubious about why we were going there. She was kind of like, well, but it's so small now, but it's so like unimpressive. Why would you want to go there? Because apparently it's decreased a lot with climate change and everything like that. But no, so I wasn't expecting much, and when I got there, I was like, okay, this is clearly it was really amazing before because this is amazing. But essentially, you get a bus ride there. And the perk of that is that about an hour into the bus ride, you stop in a village called Huaraz, which is known for its ice creams, which is really fantastic. So you can just stop off there, like go to the toilet, get an ice cream. It's really lovely. And then yeah, so you get to the glacier Pastoruni, and you can either walk to the summit or go off on horseback, which is what we chose to do.
Oh,
Um,
fantastic.
so that was really amazing, and especially we kind of chose to conserve our energy a bit because it was, let me see, I think I wrote this down. Yeah, 4,315 meters above sea level at the top
Yeah.
of like where you were with the
Oof.
glacier, which is a lot, and it did mean that it was it was very difficult to even breathe and exist really. But it
Mm.
was definitely worth it. And yeah, and so that was an amazing thing to see, like just an amazing experience to kind of have gone there. And likewise there are so many more lakes around, like they're just beautiful, so like the clearest blue. And there's one called Paron and Yanganuco, and Yanganuco is one I want to talk about more just because there's an interesting story about the kind of city that it is in, because the city this lake is in is called Yungay, and it's quite a ghost town really, because it's really beautiful, like naturally just amazing, just wonderful, like a kind of a national wildlife reserve, like a beautiful park that we walked around. But yeah, not many residents, and
Mm.
this is because on the 31st of May 1970, there was an earthquake of 7.9 magnitude
Wow.
that killed over 50,000 people in this city. And so that's why it's a ghost town, because literally like everyone perished more or less. And but what's so devastating about this is that um, two scientists actually like they foretold this event 8 years before it happened, but the government threatened like a prison sentence basically. They threatened them with prison, and so these two scientists were forced to flee the country, and their prediction came true, but
Oh
the
God.
government
That's
refused
so
to listen to them.
sad.
So yeah, so it was a really interesting place, really, really devastating as well. And they have like a
Mm.
memorial place there. Yeah, and it's quite surreal because right by the kind of memorial place, there's a massive flight of white steps up to this white kind of Christ statue that's a bit like the one
Hmm.
in Brazil, if you can imagine that in your mind's eye. But yeah, it's just kind of surreal because it's this isolated place that's populated by a lot of tourists and
Mm.
tour guides and things like that. But other than that, totally quite eerily silent.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it's still definitely worth going there. And yeah, we did spend a lot of time unglamorously being quite ill on the bus journeys, but it was still worth it for seeing all these
Oh no,
places.
is it like serpentines and that sort of thing? And it just makes you and
Yeah, and
altitude serpentines.
exactly, it's a mixture of things and the food as
It
well.
doesn't
Like yeah, you can
sound so
imagine.
good. It doesn't sound so good, but still absolutely amazing. But yeah. So could you see like where the earthquake had changed the landscape and like in California you can really see where the tectonic plates are like shifted and
That's a strange thing. Not particularly. I think, yeah, because what the earthquake caused really was like just yeah, just basically on the side of the mountains around the glaciers, like
mm,
it caused like loads of land to just fall down onto like a cascade down at 200 kilometers an hour onto the city. So I think, I mean, I can't say that I noticed that when I was there, but I'm sure like
mm,
somewhere because we didn't explore the whole city. We were just kind of at the most
mhm.
touristy places in a way. So I think that there
Yeah.
must be signs of it somewhere.
But I'm just imagining because I feel like in my mind I'm going there as well, and I'm kind of imagining it, and I can kind of sense how that would have had such an impact on you as well to just stand there and see those steps, and then
Totally.
the silence, and you think you try and imagine a bustling city that was there before with
Hmm.
that people going about their business, and it's quite amazing to experience that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, but no, other than that, it's a yeah, it's a really, really beautiful spot of natural beauty, and the lake there, like I said, is called Yanganuko, and it's really,
Mm.
really stunning. You can be kind of rowed across the lake on a boat by a very willing and happy local who kind of does that really very speedily, very yeah, very happily. And you wear kind of mm, bright pink, luminous life jacket. Yeah, and also, I mean, I think I got the chance to see a lot of things at weekends and kind of when my family and I had time off that a lot of people wouldn't perhaps have got to see. Like, for example, the granddad in the family owned a beautiful farm in the middle of the countryside where he actually raised guinea pigs, which, knowing what we now do about those animals, maybe isn't so fantasy-esque, but it was really, really, really beautiful, and it was really lovely to see a kind of window into his life and into
Yeah.
the life of a lot of people who have farms around and things like that. So yeah, and also one thing I noticed strangely is just that how amazing Peruvian birthday celebrations are. Just because I got to go to a lot of those, like I said, with my teacher colleagues and also with
Mm.
the younger children in my family, and everyone is just so keen to make it the most amazing celebration ever. Despite whatever budget they have, they still drop everything and make it wonderful. And one tradition that I'd really like to adopt into a lot of friends' birthdays is that people, like for example, in a family, every member of the family will do a toast in a way, but it's more of a speech just about the person that whose birthday it is and how amazing, how lucky they are to have them in their lives, how amazing they are, how like just all of these, but not in a cheesy way where like we perhaps do in other cultures, just in a really heartfelt way, just celebrating this person, which is what a birthday is for, but often gets lost in the
That's
balloons and the
lovely.
presents.
I feel like we do that maybe in our cultures for like big birthdays, like
Mm,
someone's 18th birthday or
yeah.
someone's 60th birthdays, that sort of thing. So they do that at every birthday. I love that. Yeah, that's nice. I think, well, I don't know, maybe we just sometimes are just too cynical when it comes to those things. And yeah, like you said, like
Maybe.
we instantly label something as cheesy when it doesn't actually have to be. Sometimes it's just
Mm.
really sweet, and I've learned a bit of to kind of love cheese here in America, because sometimes you just can't avoid it, and sometimes it's actually just really nice, and it's just like when you embrace it and you don't want to be too cynical and too like, oh my god, it's over the top, then and you let yourself enjoy it, then it's actually quite nice. So
Mm.
lovely. But I think that's the thing about like Latin American cultures, maybe overall. I'm just thinking of like the celebration for 15th birthday,
Quinceañera.
the
Uh-huh.
quinceañera. So those sort of things, I love it. It's like, why not? You know, you have to celebrate life. So
Exactly.
yeah, lovely. Oh, so we've talked about some of those spots. So are they all within like a few hours around
Yes,
where
absolutely.
you
Yeah,
live?
pretty easy
Hmm.
to get to, and also well kind of signposted by local tour companies and very
Hmm.
affordable. So yeah,
Hmm.
very lovely trips.
Nice. So you saw quite a lot in your time there then.
Yes, no, a lot in a very small area as well, because I
Hmm.
think that's the nice thing is that because I was there at a time of like really huge political upheaval and instability when I was in Peru, where basically an allegedly left-wing leader called Dina Boluarte was causing a lot of turmoil in her people because there is so much disparity in terms of wealth and income, particularly in Lima, where people are kind of either living in Miraflores, which is a very touristy and
Mm-hmm.
affluent area with glass skyscrapers, as you can imagine, or just living without access to running water and basic
Mm-hmm.
necessities. So, and this disparity reached boiling point when she was elected, and people were flooding in from the tiny, like rural villages to cities like Lima, and the protests were kind of becoming really, really dangerous. Because they would be totally at random. You'd never know when they were happening, and also quite a few protesters were being shot by police under indirect orders from
Mm-hmm.
this politician. So, and because of all that instability, I was lucky even to make it to Peru, let alone to stay there for 2 months. And it did mean that I had to really stay within a limited, safe
Mm-hmm.
parameter while I was there. So I think, but I think I'm grateful because of that, because I got to see a lot of things that I might not have seen, like in the mountains in the Ancash region, rather than just going to the tourist hotspots like Machu Picchu or Cusco, which
Yeah.
are equally amazing. But I think easier to go back to and easier to experience another time in
Yes, and
life.
now you've had you had the local guides, basically your
Mm.
family, to show you the secret spots, and that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? So, but I do remember at the time, like your mum was quite concerned about you getting on a plane and actually going to Peru, and so
Mm.
yeah, so glad you got to experience that. So, what would you say has really surprised you about the place? Maybe Peru in general, but maybe something about the community that you were in. So something that you really didn't
Mm.
expect.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I think just the first thing is just how incredibly beautiful it was. Especially the tiny village, because it was so remote and quiet. Other than at kind of school drop off and pick up times, and it had, yeah, it was just everywhere you could see the mountains as if you were at the
Mhm.
bottom of them, really, as if they were super, super close to you. And you also had the most beautiful small forest in the middle of the village, that was so tranquil and beautiful. And so just that it really surprised me because I didn't expect it to be so, so
Mhm.
amazing. And I didn't expect there to be a donkey in the village, which is quite fun that I made friends with. But yeah, in terms of the culture, I mean, I think one thing that surprised me the most was just how welcoming people were to each other. Like, for example, I went around Easter time and they were having a lot of Easter celebrations. So they would kind of have these mini processions in their houses, or well, the houses of people who had big enough houses to open to many guests, as you can imagine. So people would kind of sit politely at the sides of their house whilst this procession with like a massive statue of Christ would come through the halls, and they'd be given kind of glasses of this warm cinnamony white drink called ponche, which was really, really lovely. It kind of tasted like hot chocolate, but infinitely better. I
Mhm.
didn't understand how they did it, but it was lovely. And I mean, I think just that kind of thing, really, and how lovely the whole community were to me and the other two English girls, how welcoming everyone was, how kind,
Hmm.
and how inquisitive all of the students were. I mean, a lot of things were surprising about it, but equally, I think, yeah, I think everything was surprising. So I could go on for hours, but those were the, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So was there, do you feel, oh, before I ask this, actually, is there, was there any other trip to do, or any other kind of sites that you would recommend doing or going to?
So we did the one other trip that we did, which is a little bit further afield, was to Trujillo, which is kind of a it's it's quite a kind of colonial city centre, with kind of facades that are very reminiscent of that period, but it also has a lot of beaches and it's very popular for surfing, that kind of thing. So we did it as a kind of mini summer holiday
God, I always
type
forget
break.
that there's a coast. I
Yes.
just kind of I feel I all I think is Andes and mountains, but yes, there's a
Mhm.
coast as
Yeah,
well.
there's a coast, there's also the rainforest. It's really, really varied. It's amazing. So yeah, we went there, and it was actually really, the solar radiation is just incredibly high, to the extent that
Mm.
they didn't sell anything below factor 50 sun cream.
Hmm.
And my friends kind of walked in and she wanted factor 30, because obviously we're very used to kind of like sitting in the English sun and just like tanning in a way that, like, yeah,
Hmm.
that you can get so hungry. And the shop attendant, when she was asking for this factor 30, just looked at her as if she had totally
Yeah.
lost her mind. But yeah, because it's not actually, even in the mountains, you don't feel that it's that sunny. But it's just the intensity of the light that is really, really ridiculous.
Hmm.
And when that was coupled with it being actually warm in Trujillo, that was quite deadly, quite lethal for one of us, but it was okay. It was worth it. And yeah, I would recommend Trujillo, but I found the people to be much less warm than they were in Huaraz. And whether that was
Hmm.
because we didn't have many previously formed community links or
Hmm.
something like that, I don't know. But they just were quite strange, whenever they talked to us, whenever they approached us. So I think, yeah, I would recommend Trujillo. The beaches are really beautiful, but also just, yeah,
Hmm.
make sure that as a foreigner you take care of it a bit more than maybe in Huaraz.
Okay. So are they
But
just, is it touristy? Do tourists come, or is it like surfers? 'Cause I'm just remembering because yeah, I think yesterday I watched the Olympics, the surfing, and there's a
yeah.
surfer from Peru, and I was like, oh yeah. That's when I was like, oh yeah, of course, there's a coast. So
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a mix. Tourists definitely do come, but
mhm,
I just think in smaller numbers than in Huaraz, which, like I said, it's a bit of a limbo space. Like people always come and go, and
yeah.
but yeah. So I think, especially when you have fairer skin, they're quite like they're not very used to that, and so yeah, a lot of
Hmm.
people did just kind of come up to us, especially older men, and would kind of just like uh be talking to us in Spanish, and we did all understand them, but our get out of
Mm.
jail free card was often just speaking very slow English or very fast English and saying we don't understand Spanish,
Hmm.
like just because otherwise we didn't know what they would do. But yeah, but no, it's a really lovely place, and I think it is just
Hmm.
the people there being a little bit, yeah, less used to people
Yeah.
from other places of the world
Yeah.
being there. So.
But so that would be a place that if we had longer than just a weekend, we would go to it. So
Yes.
was there anything about the place that you lived that you didn't like, or yeah, where you felt like, oh God, this is I'm glad when I don't have to deal with this anymore?
Mm. I mean, I think, like as I mentioned earlier, all of the sometimes with the food, you are just more prone as someone that hasn't spent their whole life
Mm-hmm.
in Latin America to have countless stomach upsets, countless kind of
Mm-hmm.
like trip to the toilet, that kind of thing. Which, yeah, what I definitely wouldn't miss. And it didn't happen that often to me. I was very lucky. Obviously my celiac friend happened a lot more to.
Mm.
But yeah, I had like a maybe about 3 days when I was working that I just had to like call in sick because like it wasn't kind of crippling stomach pains, but it was enough that it was really, really, really horrible. And I think that's just, yeah, because our digestive systems aren't used to processing like certain aspects of
Hmm.
the food that they have, and it's not anything to do with food production. Like it's totally sanitary and everything like that. I think that's a misconception that a lot of people have, is that it's like
Mm.
not hygienic when people
Hmm.
have food, but that's not true. I think it's just something to do with a different type of food that we eat, and our systems being built differently, and very, very, very kind of
Yeah.
not weak, but very susceptible to things much more than proving people. So yeah, but other than that, it's hard to kind of tell your alcohol limits when you're in Peru, because pisco sours especially, which is a type of cocktail made from why did I say made from? I don't know what it's. I no, it's kind of it's a type of cocktail that is very unique to Peru. And I did know what it's made from, but I've forgotten. But yeah, so it's just very interesting in what it does to your stomach, and it's like it's I think it's a lot stronger than a lot of
Mm.
other drinks, and
But that
so
is
when
to do with the altitude as well, I think, isn't it? Or there's some sort of that you metabolize something
yeah.
differently. So I would imagine that that affects your tolerance as much as the ingredients, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. So
Mm.
it's a combination of those things. I think just honestly that was me grasping at straws, because there really weren't many bad parts at all
Yeah.
to the city and to the experience there. So yeah.
And what do you generally think of like what how did it feel to be a foreigner in this community of people, and how you, I mean, you kind of mentioned a few things and interactions with people,
Mm.
but where would you say you felt really welcome and safe amongst the people?
Definitely, especially among the kind of network of people that I had
Hmm.
within the school and beyond the school, that kind of extended family in there, and also um, all of the relatives and friends of my family. Just yeah, there's an amazing community to be a part of. But yeah, I do think sometimes some just very very minority people, very small minority, but occasionally people can see you as a bit of a token gringo or gringa just because you have
Hmm.
white skin, which is fair enough. But it's just yeah, sometimes it's quite concerning because you don't know how far they will go with it, or how kind of far, like how blinkered their vision is, in
Mm.
terms of seeing you as like an ATM or like something like that. So mainly no, people are really really really
Hmm.
welcoming and lovely and happy to have you there all the time. But just yeah, just sometimes you have to kind of gauge the situation. But that's like anywhere. I mean, there are always going to be pickpockets anywhere. And not to say that these people will rugby you, but
Yeah.
I just mean in the sense that there are bad people everywhere. So there's a very minority of people, and
Yeah.
yeah, most
Yes.
people are so lovely and welcoming. But
So you would recommend it?
absolutely.
Yeah. So if I, just to kind of finish up our conversation, what if there was one thing you had to pick, what would be your absolute favorite thing about this experience?
I think really it would have to be just having such a privileged window into the lives of people from the other side of the world, from being in a host family. But I think as a result of that, my favorite thing would just be exploring new places, but with the eyes of people who have spent their whole lives in this place and want to show it to me, and are
Hmm.
so keen to show it to me that the first day I arrived, the 11-year or kind of my 11-year-old host brother just like listed all of the things that he wanted to do and was so keen to do them, and kind of just was just rambling to his mum like, we've got to take her to this restaurant, we've got to take her to here. And it's just so lovely to yeah, to have
Hmm.
someone like, and well, multiple people behind you, and kind of just supporting you, and making community away from home. But
Hmm.
I think for any traveller, really, this would manifest itself anyway, because people in Huaraz are just so lovely and kind. So I think just seeing a community operate well, in terms of food, in terms of shops, in terms of everything really under the sun.
Hmm.
And one of my favorite moments every day was really just getting the bus down to the city, because it was just, you never know who's going to be on the bus, like, and it's just
Hmm.
like they're kind of blaring the the strangest music, you're winding down these roads, and just like it's just really lovely. It's a very different pace of life, and yeah, I just think so that wasn't really exactly a concrete thing, but I think just the
That
atmosphere. So.
sounds very much like a just a feeling of
Mm.
just gratitude, really. So
Mm.
yeah, I love it. I like what you said about like the family being so keen to show off their
Yes.
surroundings and all, because I always think, and this is also like why I really want to do these destination specials, because I
Mm.
feel it's when you do it, you really you feel the pride in the place that
Yes.
you're in, and
Like
it kind of
empowered in
makes
a way. Yeah.
yes, and it
Yeah.
makes you look at things in a different way, maybe because you then, oh, I want to show it off to someone.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
it just, because it would be the same if someone came to, or you've had people visit you in England,
Yeah.
right? And then you just
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
think of good places to go, and then you see the beauty of the place that you
Yep.
might not see or notice or acknowledge as much when
Hmm.
you just live your daily life. So yeah, I really like that. And
Totally.
it's nice because you feel it in the um
Yeah.
people's enthusiasm, so it's really lovely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's all I need, figuring them a space to have that enthusiasm. So yeah, it's very sweet.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Amy, for
Thank you.
taking the time today and taking us to Peru, because it's not a place that many people get the opportunity to visit. So it's nice to be able to do it vicariously through you.
Mhm.
So yeah, thank you so much.
So lovely. Thank you.
Thank you again, Amy, for this whirlwind tour through Peru. That was so much fun. I'm keeping all my fingers crossed for another trip for you sometime soon, so you can explore the rest of the country, get to see Machu Picchu, and maybe even another few countries in South America. I've put links to most of the places Amy mentions in the show notes, and also the various food and drink items that are mentioned. I hope I got them all right. Yeah, and if you liked this episode and this destination special episode, make sure you follow this podcast, pass it on, send links to your friends, and yeah, give me a nice review. This helps people find it, and all the usual stuff. I'm so bad at promoting myself, but I'm trying. As ever, I'm looking for more destination specials. I truly enjoy these conversations, and maybe this one has encouraged you to come forward and present your own place. It's a really lovely process, as Amy and I are talking about, researching a place, thinking about a place. When you're thinking of showing it to other people, always makes you see it in a different light, and it's a really amazing experience, actually, because there's a sense of pride that comes into play, and a sense of connection, and yeah, it's just a really nice thing. And also, we don't all get to travel that much, so I always like hearing about a place from a personal point of view, and yeah, I hope you do too. So anyway, long story short, just get in touch, please, and show me where you live. And that is it for today, really. I would like to say stay happy and healthy, but I know happy is currently a very fragile concept, maybe a little bit elusive, looking at the state of the world, but I'm saying it anyway because, I mean, what else can we do? So, yes, stay happy and healthy, and I'll see you next time.